Hey everybody, Joe here from wellnesspunks.com. I've made a number of videos where I talk about cholesterol, but I wanted to take a step back and make a sort of more of a foundational, very basic video where I describe exactly what cholesterol is and why it's so important and all of the things that it does, or at least some of the things that it does. Because people are still, unfortunately, most people are still under the impression that if we just get cholesterol as low as possible in the body, then we would just be the picture of health. And unfortunately, that information is still coming from mainstream medicine. Most people's doctors are still, trying to, imploring them to get their cholesterol down as low as possible, to eat a low-fat diet. But I wanted to talk about exactly why it's so important, why cholesterol is so important, and what it does, and talk about some of the issues if your cholesterol is too low. So let me start there. Cholesterol that's too low is a predictor for various diseases, including cancer and stroke and neurological diseases like Alzheimer's, depression, and it's also a predictor for mortality. So that's cholesterol that's too low. So cholesterol that's under 150, 160, you start to get into this range where it's like, that's probably too low, and it starts to become this predictor of illness and disease. So let's talk about the importance of cholesterol. First, let's break down the word. So chole, it means bile, because most of the cholesterol in your body is used by the liver, and in fact made by the liver to make bile. Sterol means solid. In fact, cholesterol is this sort of waxy, fat-soluble substance. So let's talk about some of the things that cholesterol does. Cholesterol helps maintain the integrity of the cell membrane. So we all have these cells. We're all made up of these cells. On the outer membrane of each cell, it's made up of about 50% cholesterol. So about 50% of the membrane of every single cell in your body is made up of cholesterol. And what cholesterol does is it helps sort of maintain the integrity of that cell. Without cholesterol, you would essentially be just like a blob of gelatinous mass. You really wouldn't, it's really what holds us together. And it's what really helps to shape the cell membrane. It's what helps keep it firm. It helps from it being too liquid. It helps it from being too firm. So it helps maintain that integrity of the membrane. And why that's really important also is it helps signaling. It helps the cells communicate with each other. And it helps regulate what gets into the cell and what gets out of the cell. So different signals, different communication, different proteins. Proteins are one of the ways that the cells communicate with each other. And it's really what helps those cells function as human cells rather than, like I said, just this blob of nothing, this blob of gelatinous mess on the floor. That's why cholesterol is so important for the integrity of each and every cell in your body. And as I mentioned before, cholesterol goes into making bile in the liver, and in fact, about 75% of the cholesterol in your blood is produced by your liver. And just about every single cell in your body makes cholesterol also, but most of it is actually made in your liver. So that should make you question why so much importance is placed on dietary cholesterol when, in fact, dietary cholesterol has very little to do with the cholesterol in your blood. What else does cholesterol do? It helps synthesize sunlight in your skin to make vitamin D. So at this point, we all realize how important vitamin D is to overall health, to maintaining immune function and everything else. And again, we really need cholesterol to help, synthesize that sunlight, the UVA rays from the sun, to make vitamin D. Cholesterol is a precursor to every steroidal hormone in your body. So all of your hormones, cholesterol goes into making pregnenolone, into progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, and all of your other steroidal hormones. So again, if your cholesterol is too low, you're going to have some serious hormonal imbalances. It's super common for people who are taking cholesterol-lowering medication to have some serious hormonal imbalances and hormonal issues. So just think about it. These are just some of the functions that are so important and so impacted by cholesterol. You can sort of imagine all of the things that could go wrong if our cholesterol is too low. The signaling between cells, if we are unable to make bile, and how that affects our digestion. Hormones affect everything in the body. So let's talk about what cholesterol isn't. Your doctor is going to refer to cholesterol as HDL or LDL, and they're going to tell you that HDL is good cholesterol and LDL is bad cholesterol. And those statements are completely false. There's no such thing as good or bad cholesterol. They just serve different functions in the body. And in fact, HDL and LDL are not cholesterol themselves. They actually just carry cholesterol. So let me explain what I mean by that. So remember when I said in the beginning of the video that cholesterol is this waxy, fat-soluble substance. And the reason that's important is because your blood is water-soluble. And so in order for cholesterol to get all around your body, to serve all these functions that it needs to serve to keep you functioning properly, it needs to be carried by something or in something. And what it's carried in is high-dense lipoproteins or low-dense lipoproteins, HDL and LDL. So these are the carriers of cholesterol. They are not cholesterol themselves. So you can imagine that the HDL and LDL are these boats, and I'm about to draw a really terrible boat, but nonetheless, so imagine that this is a boat, and inside that boat is your cholesterol, as well as triglycerides and your fat-soluble vitamins and many other important things that need to get around your body. Again, this, for the most part, is carried by this LDL, so-called bad cholesterol. So it's really not so bad after all, is it? Because without that, and by the way, your liver makes the LDL particles also. So without that, not only would the cholesterol not be able to get around throughout the body to do all the things that it does, it would be, you wouldn't have all of your fat-soluble vitamins being transported around the body also. So you can imagine, how could you call something bad when it serves such an incredibly vital and important function in the body? So again, this is your LDL or your HDL. All they do is carry cholesterol around. So when your doctor says, "Oh, LDL is bad cholesterol," he's oversimplifying it. I would hope that that's the case, that he's actually oversimplifying and that he doesn't actually believe that LDL is bad or that it's even cholesterol. I hope this serves as a pretty basic overview and stresses how important cholesterol really is, and it's not this substance that should be demonized and that we should go on an extremely low-fat diet, or we should be taking cholesterol-lowering medication to get it as low as possible, and somehow that would be be a get-out-of-jail-free card with all health complications. Because, as I said, low cholesterol is a predictor for many illnesses and diseases, and even mortality, at least as much as high cholesterol, and in some cases even more. So I hope that helps. I hope that explains a little bit, and I will see you guys soon. Thanks.